All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, or gentlemen mainly, I guess. This is, hold on, next steps. Okay, so the Amateur Radio Digital Communications Group, Company, Corporation, I don't know. Anyway, so there's been numerous people have been contributing to this proposal, and now through those efforts, K8WU was one of them, I was one of them, and of course, Andrew carried the ball across the goal line for us, which was a good thing. So that puts us, oops, sorry, that puts us in a good place here, well, in a better place. There we go. All right, so now just a few thoughts. Before we get into this, I just want to ask you to think of a few things in the back of your head. Number one, what do you think the membership's vision of the Dart will be in 25 years? And then what do you think the board's vision for the Dart is in 25 years? I'm just saying look ahead because that's what we're talking about here. So we'll talk technical. We're pretty well along from the technical standpoint. I mean, our technical plan is very well defined, needs some fine tuning without a doubt, but looks pretty good. We have our inventory scattered all over the place, so we got to see what we actually have. Then, from a business standpoint, and we don't have Bob or Reuven here, which I was hoping we would, but okay. We got to talk about some of the things that were need to be added to the or factored in there. Our professional fees, our legal and insurance and stuff like that. Then we have our labor costs. And then we have our capital assets. Those are things that we buy, stuff. And then consumables, of course, things that during the build that we use. That's why they call it consumables because we consume them. Um, so this is a business a thing here. We got to come up with a guarantee for the 20. It's about $27,000 that we're talking about. So very, very well done. So we want to make sure that number one, that we can spread the risk a little bit or mitigate the risk, I should say. There's always stuff. What did they say on 9/11? Oh, we never imagined something like that could happen. Well, shit happens. So we just have to be prepared for that. And then finally, this thing with the inventory tags. Uh, when we buy stuff, we should get these inventory tags and tag everything so we know it's part of this project and so on. And the final and the big question is what constitutes a completed condition, right? That will end our financial responsibility. So, where is the finish line on this thing? So that these are questions that are outstanding and need answers. And here's one of my favorite maps in the whole place. Let me get my little pointer. This, of course, is our topography. Hold on a minute. Here we go. Lost my pointer. There we go. So you can see as we get towards the lakes how low, but you can see as you move out, this is the turn in I-75 there, right? This is the Dart itself, and you can see as we get up further to the west how the geography increases. What am I talking about? The altitude is a word I'm looking for. Increases in terms of the the geography. Anyways,
Elevation.
thank you. Yes, yes, yes. That's the word. Elevation. All right. Okay, next. Um, so the next thing is so now I put together if you got to figure this is the Super Bowl of the Hazel Park and Metro Radio Club. This is a Super Bowl. So if we had enough people, we could fill 33 positions. What we really want to do is we want to have a place for anybody who's interested in helping us, okay? But we do have to have a minimum number of participants in order to sign on, for the amount there. So just starting in the technical side here first. So I call it technical manager, and then the system architect, the assembly supervisor. Now, I did hear Len had offered. Is Len still here? No.
Yes, I'm here, Joe.
Oh,
I'm
there
here,
he is.
Joe.
Yes. No, all right. Sorry. You're up in the upper left-hand corner. Right. So we were talking about, or you had mentioned possibly your garage might be available for helping uh, store things, but also for building the equipment rack and getting everything built, tested, so that essentially what we do is we just move it over as one unit and wire it in, and away we go. Are you still on board with that, Len? Is that
Yes,
still a possibility?
yes, Joe.
Okay, great. So that helps out there. Then is John's not. Oh, John. Okay, you are here. Okay, very good. So John is here. Okay, so we have. I mean, I just divided it up. We have the RF, we have the audio, and then of course we have networking. So those are the three big areas. And like I said, if we could fill all these positions, that'd be fantastic. But there is room for everybody who's interested in being part of this project in one way or another. Okay. And then we got the public relations is another one. In terms of keeping in touch with our membership so that people know what's going on. Our friends, those are people who are part of the club, that. And also what I just occurred to me is keeping updated the people from um, the the organization there. Yeah, the ARDC. I gotta like emblaze that. But to keep the ARDC, we has to be updated, so that they know that we're not fooling around there. So anyway, so from my perspective, in order uh, to sign this contract, because it's a big chunk of change there, we need at least these six positions filled, right? Project director, which I'd be more than happy to participate. Technical manager, finance. We need a legal eagle, which is really the parliamentarian sort of kind of. It's the same department there, just to make sure that we're meeting the criteria that it takes in order to cross the finish line. And of course, public relations, so that everybody knows what's going on. Now, we have some candidates for these positions. I pulled this stuff out of my head. So I'm assuming that these are the right combination of folks who could be part of this. So just keep that in mind. I know Len for sure has, signed on. So we need to just think about that. Now, the next thing to talk about here is our calendar. This grant begins April 9th, 2025, which was today's the 16th already. So it's like a week ago. Holy Toledo. I mean, I found out about it only a few days ago myself. But anyway, but we have until January 31st, 2026. Okay. And by that time, I'm not sure exactly what happens. Uh, does that mean the money has to be spent? Does it just mean the money has to be deposited into our account? What does that mean? We'll get some clarification. But assuming just based on these basic steps of getting stuff done, the project plan we have, that's March. Oh, we've got like I said, it's pretty well developed, just needs some tweaking. We need to get some proposals so we can get the antenna work done and any other commercial vendors that we need to do. I don't know if we have to install more electricity or lighting or who knows what. Vendor selection, of course, and we got to purchase the hardware. We got to get the hardware from point A to point delivered and stored, which I guess now going forward, we can say that would be Len's garage. like Jay Leno's garage, but Len's garage is more interesting in my opinion. Then we build and build everything in the garage there, get it all up and running and 100% checked out. Then it gets somehow we have to get it up the steps and into the room there. Then we burn it in, final adjustments, then we're on the air. So anyway, so that's kind of just some of the steps it's going to take to get this.
Sounds like you've already got a plan, Joe.
What?
Sounds like you've already got a plan.
Well, yes, yes, I hope so. And that's what that's what we're doing. We're kind of going through it to make sure that it's the right plan and it's one that everybody, is happy with and feels that we're covering all the bases here.
Yeah, that wasn't my plan, so I'll just pay attention.
Well, this is what we're looking for. So we're looking for the any alternate plans. This is something I just pulled out of my head, quite frankly.
I would do it in pieces, like get the antenna done as phase one,
Okay,
and we could get the duplexer, maybe the circulator.
okay.
So you want to rebuild the whole rack? I that's
I,
news to me.
John, I pulled this out of my head. So this is totally flexible. That's why we're having this meeting. Um, I would be more than interested yes, let's get together on this and we can finalize, we can tune this to make it right. I don't have a preference one way or the other, just as long as it gets done,
Okay.
frankly.
Joe,
Yes, go ahead.
uh, along with being able to receive the shipments here, we're going to need a place to take the old stuff down when it comes apart and check out and see what's usable in the new system, what's not usable and saleable or whatever, repairable. And that's what I have in mind. Be able to do everything here for the next year, and anybody that's available that can help, uh, check things out would be much appreciated. Obviously,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we're a central location here, not too far from AA8UU, and anybody else that wants to join in. We'll have a work night at least once a week, obviously, or maybe more often than that. But
Yeah, I sure wouldn't do everything all at once.
Okay.
well, let's talk about that though. I think there's pros and cons on um, are we going to use part of the system? We have to troubleshoot and test out what we have. I'd like to hear what Mark has to say as far as what the expectations. Oakland County is our number one, you might say, client or customer, or you know, and
Coverage area, yeah.
we got Oakland County, Wayne County. This thing is all geared for emergency preparation, and we get to use it in the meantime. The way I see it.
I don't know
So
what you mean.
Right. One thing to add to Len, and well, everybody is in the middle of all this is field day. So,
yeah,
you know, I mean, listen, this is a great problem to have. That's all I can say. I'm glad to have this problem, but we have to factor that in and, maybe during the month of June, you know, we really need to focus on, we don't want this to impinge upon field day, and we're doing a new field day. Well, not really a new one, but we haven't been to Scout Park in a while. So, so keep that in mind that June may be, we do like small, easy things so that we can focus our brain power.
But it sounds like you want to build up the repeater at Len's house, and that don't make sense to me.
what's that, John?
Because I mean, the antenna project has can't be done at your house,
No.
and so the antenna and the hard line would have to be installed at the site. So
Yes.
you could do that and keep the old system running. Same way with the duplexer, the circulator. As far as the new repeater and the repeater controller, now that could be done on a bench somewhere at your house. But um, yeah,
Right.
I would rather see it phased because that way your downtime wouldn't be as much.
Okay. Well,
Well, I'm
certainly.
thinking too, remember 3 years ago when we did the ISS, all that setup that went into that? I mean, I don't think that'll happen at once either. That was phased because, well, in that case, we had to depend on their union people to pull the cables. We had to install the antennas. We had to, put on the radios. That all happened. That didn't all happen at once either. So I think there's a happy medium between what John's suggesting and what Joe and Leonard are talking about. But yeah, I agree. There's certain parts of it you really just got to do in situ, and then tennis is probably one of them because you don't want to get it all nice and working at Len's house and then go take the thing 150 feet above the ground and find out it resonates differently.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing like climbing up to the top of that tower.
And the
Yeah, I have a
duplexer,
question also, if you, on the labor of putting this in, does Federation require us to use any specific type of company to, or or contractor to do the run the cable?
Well, that's one of the things we're going to look into more. Now, we know the company that was there. Um, Gosh, I forgot the name of it, but I have it. The one that worked on all the telephone equipment. I mean, they were just a separate company. They were subcontracted by I think by T-Mobile, and I think was Sprint up there or whoever
Right, but
else.
they're bonded. We're not.
Right,
That's the
exactly.
issue.
Yeah, yeah. That I'm sure insured and yeah, and bonded for sure. I'm sure is a requirement. Um, so we're going to take it. All right, so we're going to come back to this. This is going to be totally scrapped and redone. So good points. Thank you for bringing that up. And a phased approach is not a bad idea. There's only so many of us, and we want to get it done right. All
yeah,
right, just
but
for a little conversation here. This I don't know where this came from. Rumor has it that Marcia's husband, John, her first husband or former husband or whatever. Anyway, the reason I bring this up is this is a computer generated footprint of the Dart coverage. I'm a little skeptical of it. I don't know, but I do know that it's at the height. Oops, at the height that it's at, it's about a 15-mile visual to the horizon, and the radio horizon is a little bit further than that. So I suppose it's possible. But one of the things before we change out the antenna that that would be a good thing to do is to take test points around here to make sure that the new antenna is either equal to or better than the coverage of the old antenna. Now, the new antenna will have, if it has a new mount, there's no reason to take down the old antenna immediately. And the same thing with the equipment rack to keep everything up and running. And really, we have the resources to do everything fresh. So we could do that and then keep the old unit for, I don't know, a standby or something. And Len, you do bring up a good point which I didn't even think about, but what do we do with the old stuff when we're done? You know what I mean? Um, and so anyway, so there's all that. Anyway, so this is what that footprint. So we'll figure that out and we'll mark it and make sure that we're meeting equal to or better than. All right, this is what the place looks like from the roof, looking west. You can see to the horizon. That's about 16 miles there. That horizon, based on calculations of how high up, it's about the height of the building and so on and so forth. So that's what that looks like. Then don't forget, I love this picture. This is going to be emblazoned on my memory here. This is, yes, John A88UU climbing to the top of this tower. I saw this slide and I said, I got to show this. But this is where the east site used to be. This is the tower there. And then we moved it over to Todd's house here. right? And it was on this tower, and of course now it's over at the over here at the hospital. So and so we have a good view. It's relatively flat, as you can see. Then the other remote site is at the airport, which is right here. And again, it's good for a non-unobstructed horizon, although we have been experiencing issues, but it's the links. If we could replace the links with digital links, that would certainly help things out quite a bit. All right, next. So this is just at the remote sites. We have a MyCore receiver, and then we have a MyCore transmitter. They're not the same unit. They're cut in half, so there's actually two units. But it's kind of interesting just for now. Here's our passband from 300 to 3000, and down here's 100 hertz PL. So anyway, all right. So just a couple more, just a few more, and we'll get going here. So this is the UHF water tower. So we're on one of the, I'm not exactly sure where our antenna is. Um, there is an antenna at the top, but I don't know whether that's this little house down here, that's where the UHF equipment is stored. Actually, here's what it looks like. Here's and it's you know, I've only been there a very limited number of times, and I don't know why. If I would have panned this camera to the right and taken a picture for the equipment, which is what I was trying to do, somehow I ended up with this empty corner. But that's kind of what's on the inside. But next time we'll include the equipment in that. All right. So with that said, this is what we have today. This is what we have today, and I just plain ran out of time. What I was going to do? I was going to mark what components are going to be replaced, but I can do that just now. So we know the antenna is going to be replaced. The duplexer we need to take a look at. Just we need to have a conversation about the duplexer.
You
The
better
quant.
replace the duplexer. That's all I can say. It's
I'm sorry. What'd you say, John?
well, the connectors on the duplexer are
Our
tired.
really flaky. Yeah.
Yeah, their springs all gone.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was in the original draft when I was working on that or not, if we put it in there. I'm pretty sure we did, though.
It's
Yeah.
in there now, I know.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
like to investigate what he put in and see if it's sufficient and go ahead and buy it, really, but we're not there
Yeah,
yet.
so right. That's by this time next week because we'll meet. Well, what is next week? So I don't know, but we have to have regular meetings like this. But I will have everything that's on there. I'll show you. I got a couple of slides here, but we'll do it for each piece of equipment so everybody understands what we're buying. So here's the racks, right? And picture was taken many years ago in 2017. Okay. So there's a few changes, but this is kind of the idea. This fusion repeaters are at the UHF site now. Basically, things are pretty much the same. These are the four remote receivers. That's the Quantar. They're, uh, oops, this thing must be on automatic forward. I don't know what this is, and there's other stuff, but you can get an idea of what's there, and of course we'll have an what do you call it, the drawings for this, a rack layout. I can't think of the name, but anyway, we'll have a rack layout for the new rack and all that stuff. All right, so again, so let's just walk through this just so we understand. So if we start out at the remote sites, this is a UHF antenna, which is in relatively good condition. It's not that old. It's a 440 megahertz. It got a gain of 7 dBi, and that goes to this filter. This is the one of the cell wave filter there to I guess it's like a roofing filter, I think, just a bandpass filter. Then what we do is those remote signals go to UHF preamplifier to boost up the signal. Then it goes to a splitter, and then that output of that splitter feeds these 4 receivers, which goes to the ever so popular voter. And the voter is supposed to pick the right signal, the one with the less noise, and then send it on to the controller. And then from the controller, it goes to the Motorola repeater, the Quantar. And we don't have this amplifier is not there, or it's not hooked up. I don't know where it is. And then the circulator and so on. And on the receive
Yeah.
side,
The RF amp's still there, but we don't use it.
but we don't use it. Right,
That was
right.
just for the fusion, um, because fusions don't put out 100 watts.
Right. The fusion used to be here back in the olden days. That's correct. Then the outside of the duplexer, of course, the other side feeds the receiver, the demodulator, and then you can see how each that adds the 5th receiver here. And we take out the CT, CSS tones, goes to the controller, and so on. So anyway, so that's the basic. So why am I telling you this? So here's for those who aren't that familiar, this is what the antennas look like. The one on the right is the VHF, that's the DART antenna. The one on the left, that's the UHF antenna receiving the signal from the various remote locations. Okay, so we're on our antenna work. These are the 2 antennas that we're
Yeah,
focused.
I'd like to make a comment. The
Sure.
UHF antenna is not crooked like it shows in the picture. It's straight. It looks like it's got a tilt to it, but it doesn't.
It does look like. Well, why does it look like it has a tilt?
Because of the lens is a wide angle lens, probably.
That's my cell phone. I don't know. All right. Anyway, so we'll check that. But that good eye. You're right. It's not. I don't remember it being tilted either. So it's an optical illusion. And here clearly it's looks straight up and down. So good point. All right. Anyway, this is the other side of those antennas. Here's the DART, and then here's the one for the receiving the remote sites. Now here's what's left over. This is that one of these is for the ambulance company, and one of these is for, I think, Oak Park.
The long one is Oak Park Police. They don't use that frequency anymore. And I think the short one is the ambulance. And
Yes.
around the corner is the short one for the Federation, Jewish Federation,
What corner?
DMR repeater.
Where we can't not you can't see it on here, right?
You can't see it on here. It's on the south
Yeah.
side of the building.
Got it. Anyway, that's what it looks like for those who haven't been up there. Now, you'd be surprised. You see how these are, they have these mounts here. You'd be surprised on the end. I was amazed to see that this is how they're mounted through this material here, which is basically a sandwich of 2 sheet metal separated by some insulation. I would say this would be certainly by today's standards would be unacceptable. And I would have scoffed at it, except listen, it's lasted like 50 years. So
Several of them have some unistrut on them, Joe. I don't know which those are.
I'm sorry, say again.
The other ones use unistrut. So
No,
they
this
run
is
The unistrut was there to
to
spread
out.
the load out so it doesn't buckle the wall.
That
right.
one there maybe is the UHF, because the UHF was really a TV antenna they weren't using anymore. So I stuck the 440
And
on.
that looks more like the UHF mount.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
you're
the
correct.
mount for the VHF buckled the sheet metal.
This is it here. That's the VHF, and they use these things. I don't have a good picture, unfortunately, but these are like Molly bolt things. So anyway, you get the idea. I mean, okay, but we can't say anything. The thing's up there, and all this is like 40 years or something. Anyway, we would like to use this particular column right here as an anchor point. Bring it up to speed. At the very minimum, use the unistrut to go in between here. But anyhow, okay. Oh, so here's here's the one sheet. You can see this thin sheet metal, and then here's the insulation. And it's not you can't see, not a great picture, but on the other side is a slice of sheet metal just like this, but it's on the other side. So that's the thickness of what's holding the whole thing up. And of course, this is our concept. This is a concept drawing that will go to the vendor and say, this is what we'd like you to do. And in addition, so this is the DART antenna, this is the UHF, but to be able to add the flat antennas there, these aren't parabolics, they're those ubiquity antennas, although they don't really look, here to bring us into the network, because that's what this outfit is really looking at. They're digital, amateur radio, digital communication. So we would like to hook up into the Arden network or whatever that is, whatever network. So we have that.
M5, I think they call it.
Oh, MI6. Thank you. Yes, right. Exactly. The MI6 network. That's right. That's what it's called.
You know,
So,
everybody's talking about putting in a ubiquity between the two, the UHF and the VHF site. That's in the proposal, but that would be another antenna to be mounted because that faces northwest or northwest.
but that could be one of these antennas.
Just put it somewhere else on the mast and make sure it's not close enough to the feed point of why the mast is there to cause any problems.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Now I say this by saying that between Oak Park and Beverly Hills, you got that's like northwest-ish, so it'd be whatever would be closest to that because you need a line of sight at 5.8 gigahertz.
Yeah.
And that's the frequency that they operate on. So
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the other question.
you also need if you're going to hook into the MI6 network, the Siemens MI6 network, you're going to also need to look east toward
Hospital, I
the
think.
nearest. Yeah, the hospital would be the nearest point of presence that Sean has the network at. I think he has it there now. I'm not sure, or he's planning on it.
It looked like there was some money for the ubiquity over at the UHF site in the proposal, but
I think so.
that's another one where we thought we could just stick a dish up, but I'm afraid we'll have to put it on the water tower, and that'll cost.
Right.
Oh yeah. Before
just
we move on, before we forget, I have not. I mentioned when I first joined the call, I have not seen the version of the final proposal that got approved.
Oh,
So
okay.
if somebody could send that to me, the PDF or whatever, that'd be great.
I'll try
So
to do it right now. Yeah, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing, you guys.
Yeah.
I never saw it, so because I was taking a break from club
Oh,
activities
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. No, that's good.
As most ex-presidents do after they're like, great, I don't have to deal with this shit anymore. See ya.
I had it open here before. I must have closed it by
But
accident.
no rush. As long as you sometime this evening, as long as you get that over to me, it'd be good.
I did. I had it open because I knew questions were going to come up, and I don't know what happened. All right. Well, we'll get it.
We just saw it briefly on the screen, real briefly. It was just
Now,
showing.
you know what? That was the contract. And the contract is one thing. And the contract always says, well, you got to do this according to the specifications of the proposal. So the proposal really is the document that contains, let me just get it. The document that contains what the money was awarded for. And I have it right here. So just bear with me a minute. Oh, God. Wait, OneDrive, Disparate Amateur Hazel Park. Oh, I see.
In the mail, Mike.
Hold on. DART. Shoot. Oh, I'm telling you, my eyesight is not
I
what
got
it
it, John.
once was. Okay, here we go. So,
Save that.
amateur radio, Hazel Park, DART. Oh, grant proposals. There we go. Okay, hold on.
It's almost a complete bill of materials in that proposal.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. I'll have it. Hold on. DART. Grant proposal. Here we go. Yay. All right. Is this it?
I just got sent the 2025 draft V2, which I guess was the last version.
This
Or-
is what it looks like. Can you see it?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at too.
Good. Okay. So we found it. Yay. See, I started scratching off. What I wanted to do for each one of these items is to have a screen so we can see exactly what's in there. But yeah, so
You
this is
can't
that.
read it from here, Joe. So we'd have to get an email or something like that. You can send it out so we can read it because you can't read it from here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, I thought okay. I will get that sent out.
You fine.
Yes. I'm sorry. Okay, we'll get that happening. All right, where were all right, so there was this. We talked about antennas, we talked about hooking into the MI6 system. This is the antenna. Oh, we got to look at this. Originally we thought that the DB224E, which now Andrew, now the fifth company that's owned this product, I guess Andrew bought out the other company there that it was. Anyway, so anyhow, so here's I just want to look at this. So cost versus cost. We'll look at the cost of these two. But so okay, so here you have a gain of this particular antenna. You have uh, uh, a, a, a gain. See here it says dBi in parentheses. So the dBi is compared to isotropic antenna. So 7.4 dBi gain. This one is 8 dBi. So it's a 7/10 of a dBi better than this antenna. But here's the issue that we need to decide on what we want to do here. On this antenna, the maximum rated wind speed is 175 miles an hour. On the DB224, it's 81 miles an hour. So this is almost double the survival rate. So for 7/10 of a dB, I don't know. So we need to. That's one of the issues we'll talk about next week, but we need to think about that. This is what I was saying is I started to build these screens for each one of the things that we're going to buy so we all understand what it is that we're getting. So here is the hard line, the coax that we get there, the God, I can't remember the heliax there. So here from Alcom, here from Pasternak, so we'll see whatever.
Hey, Joe, real
Yeah.
quick question.
Sure.
On these prices you're showing,
Yeah.
these are going to change because a lot of this stuff is sourced, if not made overseas, is sourced from overseas on the parts, and the tariffs are going to affect these prices real soon.
Not electronic parts. They've exempted electronic parts.
We'll see. Not all this stuff is because some of the stuff like the copper and stuff, if it's sourced overseas and made here, it's still going to be tariffed.
Well, Joe, we're getting the Pacific with the hardware and the prices and all that kind of stuff.
But it could be a 100% increase on some of this stuff.
You know what? We'll keep an eye open for that. That's a gotcha. Yeah, good point. I think right now we're going to go with the information that we currently have, but I know that many companies are either stocking up or they're changing their. Yeah, we don't want to get caught in the end, but if that's going to be the case, then we're going to have to plan for it. But
Joe, I'd like to hear from Mark and see what the big picture is before we get more in this hardware stuff.
Yeah,
we could talk to our blue in the face and a lot of this stuff here about to do offline, so to speak, and do the research on it. But
yeah,
I want to hear what Mark has to say from Oakland County. He's the number one customer, you might say, or user with the emergency groups. I don't know how much time he needs. Let's ask him how much time he needs.
Well, I've been taking notes as we've been going along here. And I mean, obviously budget drives goals and goals drive budget, but you have a finite amount awarded. So really, we should really be talking about the goals. And I'm hearing, and I may be hearing only from one person, but I'm hearing that we want to have kind of an emergency communications capability in this upgrade. Would I be correct in that?
Well, yes, there's two aspects of that. I went back to some of the things we're keeping in our mind. There's both the educational aspect, and of course, there's the community service aspect. And from an educational aspect, by expanding out the MI6 network and using that as a learning ground, that's part of it. And then, of course, listen, the reason we want to build a 175-mile-an-hour antenna is so that it is there during emergency events. But that also requires us to actually build relationships with first responder organizations, which we've never done, or we haven't done, at least in my tenure anyway. Um, so does that make sense?
What first responders did you want to connect with?
Well, here's the idea. So let's say there is some sort of, let's say a tornado. The most likely thing around here would be tornadoes, right? Um, and so, okay, so now we have this communications a resource. What do we do with it? I mean, the classic situation is amateurs are driving around in their cars and they're just reporting back where the damage is. We
Well,
don't get
that's
involved.
Skywarn. Skywarn, that's all controlled by Skywarn and the NWS, National Weather Service.
Right.
All reports go to the National Weather Service and then gets distributed from there. The Skywarn has no direct contact with any public service intervention or departments set forth besides going through National Weather Service. So everything from Skywarn goes directly to White Lake and then distributed from there. So if there's an emergency, ARPSC would probably be involved, but that wouldn't be necessarily for Skywarn or a tornado or tornadic incident.
Mhm. So,
Well,
I'm looking at. I'm sorry. Before I lose this thought, I'm looking at page 7 of the proposal, and where it talks about the project and how it matches up with ARDC's mission and granting goals. And while it does talk about improving emergency communications projects, that's not the only thing that it says. So yeah, it is important, although there may be other infrastructure, even amateur radio infrastructure that does that, be it Skywarn, ARPSC, what have you. We also said that in the category of support and growth of amateur radio, we're going to be extending repeater infrastructure and expanding interest and access to amateur radio, particularly to technician class operators. And then it goes on. Joe has it pulled up now. It goes on to talk about where it's where we're matching the goals that ARDC wanted to see. And yeah, so even if you take the emergency communications out, you still got quite a bit there to align with the goals. And honestly, at this point, they've already said, yeah, go ahead, right? So we can sit here and talk about emergency communications, but really I was thinking that I was going to be coming into this meeting finding out of, hey, this is the amount of funds we have, and this is what we're getting, and the proposal has this, so thank you. And then we just need to find who's going to do, who's going to volunteer to do what.
right. That's well, there's two things. The volunteer, who's going to volunteer to do what? And that's where the other this comes in and why it's come on.
We've always claimed we were a backup emergency system.
well, see, that's what I wanted to speak into briefly, just briefly, if that's acceptable to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so may I have permission to share my screen?
Yes, please go ahead. You should.
Let
Do
me see
you
if I
do you
can.
need it? Hold on. Maybe I didn't push all the right buttons.
I think I can do it.
If you can, yeah. Oh wait, I'm not the host.
No, but he can. He should be able to.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody can see now what I've got up.
Yep.
Okay. The first thing I wanted to bring up, though, was frequencies as defined by the organizational use within Oakland County ARPSC. Obviously, the Pontiac 146.9 is their primary, but you are considered a backup frequency if the Clarkston, which is OCARS, which is the one that I use for the Siren Net, and then this is a backup frequency for basically the south end. But I wanted to switch back over here to the siren status part and notice that Marcia, who controls the southeast subnet, she uses the 76 machine. So the DART isn't being used currently for any of the siren checks at the present time. And, so, and then hospital nets are handled through our primary frequency. So I'm not sure where you would want to do this MCOM enhancement, if you will.
By MCOM enhancement, what does that mean exactly?
Emergency communications.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so
that's what I was brought in to speak into, if you will. So.
Oh, I see. Okay, and that is the key question: is what do we have an opportunity here? Had the DART just remained the way it is, it would just probably be the way it is. But with this upgrade, and it's more powerful and it has more capabilities, what is the proper role for the DART? I mean, it's a resource, and where does it fit in the best in the area? I mean, we're new entries into the emergency communication thing.
Joe or Mark.
So bouncing really quick, because I want to get in and get out so you guys can move on to more what Fred wants to talk about here. My part shouldn't be that long. But back to the frequency page for Oakland County ARPSC. Dell Beauchamp, WW2MI, he has a WinLink setup that's in Oakland Township. Now, I don't know if any of the people in the South End are accessing that currently, but it's at 144.95. And as part of this, you may want to determine, can we hit Dell's WinLink machine from wherever our QTHs are in the South End? And if the answer to that is no, then you may want to coordinate with Dell to set up another WinLink packet node, an RMS they call it, for as a part of this. Okay.
Okay.
I have used that WinLink frequency from Madison Heights. It's not 100% reliable, but usually after about 3 tries, I get through. So it is reachable, just not every single time.
I usually use the 144.910 in Detroit, but there's maybe times when that's for some reason not available. But I mean, I can get that on Milliwatts because it's up on I think it's the same tower as the 2.1 and the.
So purely a WinLink addition would be an enhancement. You're filling that hole right there in the South Oakland County.
And the other thing, Mark, is they used to use the DART for the siren testing that Marcia does, but she started using the other one when she was having problems getting everybody to cover it under the DART, and we were having some problems, and she just never went back.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
We lost the remote receive up in Pontiac.
So as far as the MI6 and the CMEN network, that would really probably go over to like Fred Moses for input, right, Mike?
Either him or Sean WFU.
Yeah.
Either they can probably speak to that.
Right. And then, so if you want to coordinate something with WinLink, maybe for the next meeting, I can see if Dell could jump in.
Okay.
That's another antenna, right?
Well,
yeah,
we
it's
have
one downside is, you start to pile up antennas up there, and you may attract the ire of the building owners.
We have 4 antennas slated for the digital links, right?
So another emergency thing we do is the Saturn net uses us once a week.
Wait, are you talking about the Tuesday Southfield one?
Is
That's
it
not Saturn.
Tuesday?
That's
Southfield, you mean?
Southfield, certain.
stars. Yeah, Saturn's on
Stars.
the
Yeah,
Edison
I'm sorry.
533.
Yeah, Tuesday, 8 o'clock
Yeah,
on the dart.
Tuesday 8:05. It's actually an old TBS timing, 5 past the hour.
And Jeff is waiting to find out where to send the letter of either MOU or a recommendation or whatever. He doesn't know who to send it to. But he was going to get the city of Southfield to support the dart because they use it. So it would be like an MOU type thing.
Okay.
And we could talk about that later.
Yeah,
Okay.
WinLink is a whole nother project.
All right. So Len wanted to hear from me. Now you have. Was there anything else?
Yeah, first of all, thank
I
you.
do want to point out real quick before Joe answers. I know it wasn't on your list, Mark, but yeah, obviously the Spirit of 76 also handles the national traffic system, the Southeast Michigan Traffic Net. Their backups are, which they've had to use recently, because the 76 got tickled with lightning a while ago, but they fixed most of that now. But anyways, they in the event that doesn't work all that well due to nature or some other issue, they fall back to the Edison, the 5.33, which we now call the radar. And if that's not doing it, then we're third in line, and they have fallen back on us, a few times the last couple of years. So there's that as well.
Okay. So is a goal to maybe not be a tertiary resource, but maybe a secondary?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have this, in a big storm, if our antennas survived and it's there, I mean, and the way that things can be networked nowadays, even, we've never even done a test. Let's say that the what is it, ARPs, the folks in Pontiac wanted to use it or whatever. I mean, we've never done any exercises, of any extent. I mean, we do field day, we do, once a week on Sunday night, we do the net, but this really changes the landscape here. This is going to be a very powerful resource that can be used in the area, and we're basically saying here we're going to have this. Help us figure out where we fit in.
Well, and here again with the MI6, if I look at, and I'll just, I wasn't going to take up too much time, but I'll just bring this up.
Go ahead, take your time.
One last thing is,
one of the great thing about Zoom is we don't have to get out of the room because we hit 9 o'clock.
Yeah. So give me 1 second to bring up
sure.
the screen that was up.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find it.
But I mean, really, that is really the question is, usually it's the other way around. You have a need and you fill it. Well, we just happen to have this resource. What do we do with it? So anyway, go ahead.
So here's the MI6 access point sites in graphical form. And you'll notice a great big hole right here. And I would think that's what this grant is going towards, to supporting that right here, right there. Would I be correct in that assumption?
You would be 100% correct in that assumption. That's a great assumption.
I thought he had something in Mount Clemens.
I don't think it's online yet.
Okay.
They themselves actually are working through a big ARDC grant that's easily, more than 10 times what we got in 2 phases.
Okay.
And so that's getting built out currently. I think they have a point-to-point Mount Clemens. I don't think they got a point-to-multi-point. But Sean's been talking about bringing that into Oakland County via the DART site since before we started writing the proposal.
Yeah, he was going to use that hospital, I believe.
I think that's where he wants to bring it out to next. Yeah.
So in closing, from my side of it, I want to help, and I just need a little guidance from everybody else what that looks like.
Right.
And I'm willing to step up and be a liaison to the ARPSC and bring in the necessary people that are, while I'm flattered to be here on this initial kickoff, there's smarter minds than mine in the ARPSC that I could bring in. Fred Moses, he's somebody that you definitely would want in an upcoming meeting. And Dell, I would think, if you want to go the WinLink route. So there you go.
Right. Those are two really good sources. And we'll work on that. We'll work on
So
what,
come
yeah,
back to me with direction on that then. What you
excellent.
want? What do you want? You know? Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mark. And thanks for dropping in and helping us out here. And stay tuned. There's more to follow.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what I have here myself. Those were all the slides. That's as far as I got. I just got that one product slide. But um, is there any other concerns? Now, again, if you look up here, we need some real commitments, some firm commitments. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
sharing turned off, Joe.
oh God, do I?
Well,
Thank you.
because Mark was using
Thank
it.
you.
Right. So you have to
Yes, that's right. Oh, I knew that.
Yeah.
Now I have to find where I turned it
And you
on.
could
Why are you
use the
doing
old
that?
antenna for WinLink.
Mike, what frequency did you say you were using in Detroit for WinLink?
144.910. It's the Detroit 14 site in the MI6 or 7, whatever the packet network's called.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right.
That's you'll be able to get that on nothing hardly from your house.
You see me now, right? I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So, in order to sign this contract, and the sooner the better, because with grant money going away left and right, um, these days, we want to clench the deal. But anyway, so we need like these, between 4 and 6 people here to do a definite commitment to being part of the project. So I'll be in touch with everybody throughout the week. And email really is my best means of communications. And also we can remember what we said last time. So we'll stay in touch. But we would really like to get volunteers to take some of these positions so that um, you know, it's a big job. There's no doubt about it. But I like that idea, the phasing it in. I think that's absolutely correct. Stay focused. So I'll redo that and we'll get it out to everybody here via email in the next day or two. So
This meeting will be on
okay.
Zoom within the next couple days too.
I'm sorry, say again.
The meeting will be on Zoom and within the next couple of days also.
Terrific, terrific. Okay, great, great. All right. Well, until next time, stay tuned. Keep watching your emails. There are more to follow. All right. See you later. Thanks
All right,
again.
thanks,
And
Joe.
Mark,
Night,
thank
everyone.
you, Mark, for coming by. Bye-bye.